Hey guys, Mr.Relatable here. Welcome back to episode 3 of Creative Basics. This episode, we're going to be covering the newest devices that are added to Creative in patch 10.30, and that's Class Selector and Class Designer. These are really cool devices, and I'm super glad that they're added to the game. This is going to be amazing for games where you want players to be like different roles. Let's say you want a player to be a sniper role and another player to be a shotgun, another player to be like a scout, stuff like that. It's going to be super cool, and I'm really excited to see what players are going to do. So let's hop right into it. What you're going to want to do is grab the Class Designer and the Selector and just throw them on down wherever you please. We're going to go over the Designer first, and then we're going to go over the Selector and what each of them do. So this is pretty much how you design a class. So we're going to start off with, let's say, a sniper class. We want there to be a sniper class in our game, and what you're going to want to do is just name it like so, and then put the class identifier to whatever number that you want. What this is going to do is if we put this on 1, and then we come over to the Selector and put it on 1, they kind of read to one another. The Selector kind of says, oh, okay, so you want 1, and then it reads, okay, 1 is sniper, and then it goes through all of this stuff. So you're going to want to match up the pad to whatever you want the class to be. So like I said, we're putting this on 1 for now. I'm just going to go through all of these settings now and what they do. They're very self-explanatory, so if you want to skip over these, you're more than welcome to. I'll have a little timestamp in the bottom left corner for you guys, but let's get right into it. Grant on respawn. If you want the players to still have their items when they die and respawn, you're going to want this to probably be on for majority of the time. Excuse me. Visible during games. If you want this legitimate device right here to be visible, it's not really important to be on unless you want it for aesthetic reasons, so we're just going to put it to off. Bonus ammo for weapons. If players grab a class, do you want that class to have kind of bonus ammo? Let's say the sniper typically only starts with 1 bullet in the clip because it just doesn't give any ammo. You'd want the bonus weapon or bonus ammo for weapons to be on, so then it gives them extra ammo. Starting health, max health, starting shields, and max shields are super cool. What you can do for this is kind of have different classes that have more health than one another. So let's say you want the scout class, which would be like a really quick, really like jumpy, stealthy class, but you want it to be low health because it's so slippery. And then you want a tank class, which doesn't have great weapons or mobility, but it has extra health. You could do that. So the starting health, if you want them to have 100% health, and the starting shields, if you want to have 100% shields, what this pretty much just means is by default, the players will have 200 health. So they'll have 100 shield and 100 health. Now, if you want their max health and max shields to be higher than the 100 cap that's in Battle Royale, you can change that. So let's say you want the tank to have 500 health and 100 shield. So now they effectively have 600 total hit points. What you could do is just put this to 500 and 100, and then they will spawn with about 600 total. We'll just put this to don't override for now, as there's not any reason for us to change that. Don't override, by the way, covering this really quickly, pretty much just means don't change it from what you have under your My Island settings in these settings right here. So max health, for example, would be 100 and starting health is 100%. What this pretty much just means is if it's on don't override, then it will just read, oop, I hit the back to hub option on accident. Let's travel back in, my bad. It'll just read what is ever in that menu. Anyway, let's get right back into that. Instant reload, if you want the weapon to instantly reload. Infinite ammo, pretty self-explanatory. Infinite resources, once again, pretty self-explanatory. Keep items when eliminated, if you want the players to keep their inventory when they die, or drop it, or delete it. You can select whatever you want here. Keep resources when eliminated, same thing. You want them to drop the resources, keep the resources, or delete them. Typically, if you're going to do a class-based thing, I would recommend doing delete or keep, just because you don't want to have cross classes. So let's say you have a tank who doesn't really have good guns and has a lot of health. If he kills someone and then picks up like their scar or something, then you have a guy with a crap ton of health and a scar, which just is not really healthy for your game. However, like I said, you could just mess with those if you want. Fall damage, if you want fall damage to be on for that class. Gravity. This one's really cool because let's say you want a class that has kind of higher jumps. What you could do is select the gravity to low. And what this kind of just means is that if you have a ninja class, for example, they can jump a little bit higher as their gravity is not as strong. Very, very, very cool. Jump fatigue, if you want the players to get jump fatigue or not. If you want them to fly, player flight. Player names and locations. This means if you want them to be able to see the enemies no matter where they are. This could be also kind of cool for the scout class. Maybe you want them to be able to see all of the enemies through the walls and always show where they are. That player will only be able to see. Only the scout will be able to see where every enemy is. Kind of cool. Glider redeploy, if you want the players to be able to glider redeploy. Down but now out, if you want the players to be able to go into a knocked state, like you knocked your opponent, if you want them to go into that or not. Allow building, if you want them to build. Respawn time, how long it takes for the class to respawn. Spawns, how many spawns do you want the players to have? Infinite means they just keep respawning. And then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, etc. just means that they can only have that many lives. So if you put it on 1, that means they only get 1 life. If they die, they're out of the game. Spawn location, if you want them to spawn on spawn pads, in the sky, or wherever they currently just died. Typically, you're going to want this on spawn pads. Health granted on a limb if you want them to gain health when they kill somebody. Wood if you want them to gain wood. Stone, metal, very self-explanatory. If you just want them to receive X amount of, let's say, metal whenever they kill somebody. So if you kill Jimmy on the enemy team, you'll gain 50 metal. Maximum building resources if you want this to go any higher. So in default Battle Royale, you can only carry 999 resources. You could put this up to 2,000 if you want, or you could just have it so they can only carry 100 of each map. It's really up to you. Allow item drop. I would highly recommend turning this to no if you're going to do a class-based thing. This pretty much means that you can drop your items. And the problem with this that could be kind of toxic is kind of what I said earlier, where let's say somebody picks the tank class so they have 600 health. Somebody can also just pick like an assault rifle class and then drop their assault rifle so the tank can pick it up. And that could just be really problematic if you have a guy with 600 health, an assault rifle, an RPG, etc., etc. Allow item pickup if you want players to be able to pick up items. Harvest rate, however fast you want them to be able to destroy things in the world. So if you put it on like times 10, for example, they'll break things 10 times faster than what they normally would in BR. And spawn immunity time. If you want players to be able to be immune right after they respawn for X amount of time. Okay. That's a lot. That's all the class designer stuff. Now we're going to go over to the class selector. This is a lot simpler, so really don't worry about this one too much. We already went over the class identifier. That pretty much just reads to one another what they want. The team, if you want them to, any team to be able to activate this, or let's say you only want team X to be able to activate it and team Y to be able to activate a different one. Time to switch. What this means is when you walk in to switch your class, that's how long it takes for your class to actually switch. So it's kind of like a delay. If it's on 3 seconds, what that means is 1, 2, 3 class swaps. If you have it on instant, what it means is right when you walk in it's going to swap. So swap like that. Respawn player on switch. What this is actually really cool. What this means is if players swap their class, it will, if you have it on, it'll kill them and then respawn them, and then they'll spawn with the class, as opposed to just walking through it and then getting their class. What this just means is that they'll die, respawn, and then be the new class. Size of volume, this is how big you're going to want the circle thing. So if you want it to be 20 meters, you can see the circle is very large now. That means any time that they walk in this circle at all, they're going to swap their class. Pretty cool. We'll just put this to, let's say 3 meters for now, so it's not terribly large. Volume visible in-game, if you want this blue circle to be visible or not. Visible in-game just means if you want this circle pad on the ground to be visible. Accent color, that means you could change what the volume color is, or just any, like, it'll also change this thing. It pretty much just changes the color of what it looks like. So if we put it to fuchsia, it's kind of like a pinky purple. You know, aquamarine, it's like a nice greeny blue. Stuff like that. So we're going to just put it back to aqua. There's a lot of colors, by the way, so you could probably color code your classes, which is really cool. Enabled, if you just want it to be enabled during gameplay, or disabled, or anything like that. Enable when receiving from channel 1, channel 2. This is all just channel stuff that we haven't really gone over with our Creative Basics series just yet, but we will be going over that very shortly. But all you need to know is if you want this to be off at the start of the game and then turn on when a player hits a button, for example, you can do that. Let's just put it back to enabled and then turn that off. You can also disable it when receiving from. This is actually kind of cool because what you can do is select this to be channel 1 and then put the disable when receiving from channel 1. So what this kind of means is when the class is switched to, it transmits on 1. So you swap the class and then it puts out a signal to channel 1, and then it also receives the signal from channel 1, meaning that it'll disable. What this allows you to do is make it so only one player can be this class. So as soon as somebody walks in, it's going to channel to 1, and then it's going to pick up the signal from 1 and turn it off. I hope that kind of makes sense, but this pretty much just means that you can only have one player be one class. We're not going to do that though, as it wouldn't really make sense for what we're doing. And then change player's class when receiving from. This one's also really cool because what you can do is, if let's say we put it on channel 1, and then what we could do is have a button on a wall that's labeled channel 1. And then if players click that button, that'll change their class to whatever this is identifying. So if this is going to get kind of confusing, I know. So let's say we have a button that signals to channel 1. This picks up a channel 1 signal right here, and then it reads, okay, the class identifier is 1. So now it reads over to here, which says, okay, they want to be a sniper. Pretty much what this just means, if players hit a button that reads this goes to that. Hope that made sense. So how do we actually get weapons and items into the thing? Well, you're going to have to go to the creative menu, go to your weapons tab, and let's say for the sniper class, we want a legendary bolt and a green pistol. Now, what you would normally think, what normally would happen is you would put the items into this little thingy. That's kind of what people expect. However, you actually have to put it in this. So it's kind of weird. You're going to want to just grab the item from your inventory, drop it like so, and now it gets picked up and sucked into the thing, and it'll have a little icon above its head like so. And that's pretty much how you set everything up. Also, one thing to note, this is, I think, a bug in the game right now. If your selector does not work, simply grab it from where you threw it and move it up 1 block or 1/16 grid like that. If it's in the ground like so, it sometimes does not work. So make sure that you pick it up like that. It's very, very important that you do that. But we're going to start the game now and show you guys what happens. So we should not spawn with any class. We should not spawn with anything. We should be very bare bones right now. And as soon as we walk in this circle, we're going to grab our class. Or it's going to kill us. I'm not sure why it killed us. Oh, we have respawn on. Okay. I forgot we had respawn on. But now you can see that now that we're respawned, we have our class. Let's just go and turn that off real quick because that kind of is a little weird for gameplay purposes for what we're testing right now. So let me go and change this. Turn that off. Okay. Next thing we're just going to do is, just for purposes of showing you guys what you can do with this, is we're just going to set up another one very quickly. So we're going to have 2 zones, and we can't copy this, I don't believe, because I believe it's going to keep the weapon properties. Maybe it won't. No, it does. Okay. So we're just going to have to set up a new one really quickly, which won't take very long. Class Designer, throw it on down. Go in, change it to 2. We'll put shotgun, and then we're not going to really change anything. Go into here, change this to 2 as well, and then make our shotgun class. So we'll go to weapons, and then maybe we want it to have a blue pump with a white pistol for backup. There's a bug in the current patch right now where if you kind of grab some of this stuff, it doesn't let you hit the play button. If you ever get that bug, just exit the inventory and then go back in. So we'll drop that, and now that sucks it on up. Let's just wait for it to show up just to make sure that it's there. Perfect. And we'll start the game. So now what's going to happen is if we walk in this, we're going to get our sniper class. So bam, we are a sniper now. Pew! Stuff like that. And now if we walk in this, we're going to become a shotgun class. So now we have our shotgun stuff. Super, super cool. And this is very useful for a ton of different maps. And I'm really excited to see what people do with this. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for today's episode. I've kind of covered everything that you need to know to be able to make kind of this stuff work. And if you guys have any more questions, leave them in the comments and I will try to respond as soon as I possibly can. But yeah, as I said, that's going to be it for now. So thanks for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.